I'm so excited to have Kim Parkinson from KP Creative Media here. I took an amazing course that she had on podcasting, and it was so informative, and it was just everything that you really needed to know. So she's a podcast producer and strategist. She mainly works with spiritual entrepreneurs, helping them find their voice and get their message to people, all through the power of podcasting. So today she's going to talk to us about growing your business with podcasting. So welcome, Kim. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. And thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed the course. Thanks so much.
Brilliant. Excellent. Yeah, so we are today going to talk about podcasting. So first, do you want to tell us a little bit about why someone should consider doing podcasting?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that, first of all, it is so easy to do, right? That this is, I actually have clients that will use their phone in a closet and record. It is that easy sometimes. Now, if you want to go with the better audio, obviously you're going to do some other things, but the nice part about podcasting is you can tell the people that follow you about topics that you're talking about. It's a know, like, and trust factor, right? They're going to get to know you, they're going to get to like you, and then they're going to get to trust you. And that's going to bring them into your sphere, into your world. That's going to get them into whatever area of expertise that you are. And it's great because you're really like getting in their heads legitimately, whether they're walking, they're exercising, doing the dishes, you're downloading their audio, and then you're in their heads. So it's a great way to just get a better audience and your message is heard to other people.
Yeah, I've got people that I listen to that I watch their YouTube channels and you read their blogs, but I always get excited about their podcast. I feel like there's a little extra insight in there. And then, it's always the first thing I put on when I get in my car. So
it's the inflection of their voice too, right? So you can hear how excited they are. You can hear how maybe down they are if it's a serious topic, or you can really get that feel of how they feel about their business just by the way they talk about it. And that doesn't always come across with a blog, right? Or maybe even just a short a short Instagram reel or anything like that. It's really that power of like hearing that voice part that's really magical, I think. So yeah.
Well, speaking of that, I'm laughing because like you have this great microphone and you have your headset on, and Jeannie and I haven't gotten there yet. We're working on that, and you've got this beautiful podcasting voice. I'm like, we've got a lot to learn.
Oh, thank you. And honestly, I'm going to say I do have a great shouldn't say that. That's terrible. I do have a great voice, but I have a good voice. But not everybody, but a lot of people have a good voice to speak to. And it doesn't make any difference actually what your voice is. It's what the message behind it, certainly. But I will say a lot of what ends up happening and what you are hearing is due to my microphone in my wind guard and all of that. So it's just my setup. I have it set up in my room, so I have some acoustic panels here. And so a lot of that is being absorbed by that too. So yeah, it's a little my voice, it's a little the tech, it's a little of everything. So yeah, anybody can do it.
So the technology will make us better, Kirsten.
We need all the help we can get.
Yeah.
We'll take all the help we can get, and you do have a great voice. So a quick question, you just talked about the acoustic panels. So I didn't realize this until Jeannie told me, because I think you told her, but by wearing the headset, you're not getting the echo of what's happening in the sound. But what if someone doesn't have panels? Is it ideal to do it in a room that maybe has a bed or carpeting, or what other things can contribute to making the sound better quality?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, one of my clients actually does all of her podcast episodes in her closet because that's where all of her clothes are, right? So it's absorbing all of those sounds. Now, if you don't have that ability or don't want to do a podcast episode in a closet, which I totally respect, you could do it in your bedroom. And again, if you don't want to do it there, that's perfectly fine. All other alternatives is you could grab a blanket and put the blanket behind your laptop, and that would absorb the sound. You could throw a blanket kind of on the ground, depending if you have hardwood floors. Now, this room does have carpeting too, so that absorbs the sound as well. Make sure you are pointed not towards a glass window. So if you have a glass window in front of you, which a lot of us will because we have that, that ambient look. Now, my glass window is over here to my right, but the acoustic panel is over there kind of absorbing that sound. So curtains, any kind of, clothing or anything that can absorb that sound, if you just put it around yourself, it will definitely help with that echo. So I would definitely choose to do some kind of sound absorber of some type if you're looking to do some regular recordings in your office. Yeah.
Perfect.
What about like I was just thinking of those accordion like panels that you can get, like that, cordon off like a room or something to put behind you. Would that be helpful?
Sure, that depends on the fabric that's in it. I mean, if it's a fabric, definitely. If it is like a hard surface, it may not absorb it as well. So you want something that has a little cushion maybe to it so that it will absorb. That's why I mentioned like a blanket or maybe a towel. I don't know if you noticed, but I also have a blanket on my chair here. So it just kind of adds to that absorption of the sound and also helps with the cat not ripping the chair apart. But, anything that you can have around you that's cloth or would be absorbing of sound. Any hard surfaces, glass is very harsh. It definitely does a lot of echoing. Yeah, probably. What is that? It must be glass right behind you, Kristen?
Glass, yeah.
Yeah. So it's behind you, which is a plus. So that is actually definitely a plus because when it's behind you, you're obviously talking this way. But here's the other thing. If you're talking this way, like I am, I'm talking at a screen, right? Which is like, well, I'm not sure if it's necessarily glass anymore. I'm aging myself there, but definitely has less absorption power than just having a blanket or whatnot. I do have a cork board right in front of me. Cork is excellent because it's porous. So, if you're doing interviews on a regular basis, you could definitely put that in front of you to help. Any little bits and pieces that you have around that you can use to just absorb that sound is great.
Perfect.
Excellent. Okay, should we go on to content? So if we're going to have a podcast, what should we talk about?
Well, that is actually going to depend on what you do for a living, right? What you do. So I'm going to have a podcast about podcasting, which is exactly what I do have. So, and you guys are going to have a podcast about your business. And that is what is most important to you. Now, I'm going to also say, because some people will ask, you don't have to have a podcast about your business. You can have a hobby podcast, and that would be about gardening or, in my case, chickens. I don't have one about chickens, but it would be. But it would definitely be something along those lines. You could definitely have one. They also have podcasts, obviously solo, co-hosted, and things like that. And they also have podcasts that are theatrical, which if you have ever heard one that's theatrical, they're amazing. It's like little itty bitty like shows right inside the podcast. So it's one of my favorites to listen to are theatrical ones. But anyway, so I would definitely say that if you are looking at your business and you're looking to create a podcast for your business, sit down and write out 10 topics that you could talk about just like that. And then niche those down, because I guarantee there are actually little subsets of each one of those. And each one of those subsets is a new podcast episode. So that makes it kind of easy to kind of look at.
When you mentioned the theatrical, I love that for a road trip, right? So if you're traveling, and again, I'm definitely a geek, so I love all the business podcasts and all the books on Audible and those types of things. But yeah, sometimes when you're on a road trip, you just kind of want to get lost in something, and it's amazing how many miles you can go and not even think about the fact that you're traveling.
Yeah, that's what makes it great too, right? So for somebody that may be not motivated to do exercise or maybe not motivated to clean their house on a Saturday morning, throwing in that podcast of any kind that is interesting to you is just going to make that time go by so much faster. So I love any kind of audio like that. I'm a huge music buff. I'm a huge Audible member. I've been an Audible member since before Audible was Audible.
Me too. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, my whole family are Audible members. We have playlists and playlists on playlists. Every time there's an occasion, there's always a playlist for it, whether it's a road trip or a party or whatever.
Yeah, the books are so amazing on Audible. I feel like you can learn anything, you know?
Yeah. And I've actually heard, as a little tidbit to everyone, that Audible is actually a really great coordinator for sponsorship. They do like to sponsor new shows and shows that talk about them. So just, oh, yep, there you go, right down. They're good at helping that, and they always give you some sort of like a little code, or not always, but they are good at giving you like a little code for your listeners and your viewers and your watchers. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, I know Jeannie just took your class because I got to hear all about it, which was fantastic. And I don't know if she talked to you, but like doing a podcast has kind of been on our radar for 6 or 7 years. We went to PodFest a few years ago, had a blast there. And one of the reasons why I think we didn't move forward with podcasting was because of the lack of SEO, the fact that it wasn't searchable. And one of the reasons why we are looking to move into podcasting now is because SEO is finally becoming more relevant with podcasting, so people can actually find you based on the topics that you're doing. Also, a lot of our clients, because we do help our clients with video marketing, and a lot of them don't want to do talking head videos, or they're just sitting there looking into camera and talking, but a lot of them do love having conversations with other people. So we encourage them, to have a video podcast for YouTube, and then obviously they can strip the audio and put it in different places. What have you heard about podcasting and SEO, or have you heard anything recently about how that's evolving?
Yeah, actually, I just took a little mini mastermind type thing. I belong to the Podcast Editors Academy or something like that. And it's kind of like a trade academy type thing. And he did an all day, the gentleman that runs it, there's two gentlemen, but one of them that runs it did an all day seminar. That's the word I was looking for. Seminar on podcast show notes, and a lot of that had to do with not only SEO, but also AI, right? Because that you can't really talk about SEO anymore, or any kind of writing without talking about AI. And this whole conversation revolved around how it was now becoming even more and more important to write your show notes and to come up with the name of your podcast based on SEO. Long gone are the days of like, hey, this is the Happy Days podcast, and we're going to talk about chickens. No, now it is, this is the Hen and Rooster podcast because we're talking about chickens. This is, and I've actually had just recently a client change her podcast name to reflect SEO. So it's definitely being picked up more and more. I do mention that you should talk about your SEO. You should talk about and think about SEO when you come up with your name. And then when you're writing out your podcast description, now there's a couple of different topics here. So there's the podcast title, the name of it, and then your description. And your description should definitely have your keywords in it. It should also have a lot of different SEO type information in there that you want to really hone in on. And then we have the title of each episode, and that's also important. So you don't want to just name your title something random. And you may not also want to put in the name of your guest on each one, because if your guest isn't well known, then there's no reason to put that person's name in there. If you're going to do a podcast episode with Amy Porterfield, use her name. But if you're doing a podcast episode with Kim Parkinson, maybe not everybody knows who I am. So it's okay. I won't take it as an offense, because some people just don't know who that is, and it won't pick up for SEO, right? Right. And then lastly is the actual episode description. And those should have keywords in them, and those should be SEO as well. And that is specifically about each episode. So they can actually have a little bit of changing, but try to keep your pillars in there, like whatever it is that you talk about, try to keep those in the description so that people can be repetitive of what it is that they're talking about. So there's a couple of different ways. There's 4 different ways actually to really add that in. So
yeah. And that's all the things we do for YouTube. So all that's been the YouTube practice for a few years now. But one thing that you said that I thought was interesting was like not use your name because you're not well known. So the goal is for us to write an SEO rich title that's going to get as many people as possible to watch this podcast so you can become known, right? For this episode. So yeah, writing those really catchy titles and having those incredible, you don't call it a thumbnail. What do you call it on a podcast? The image.
A quote graphic or cover art, audiogram, any one of those?
Yeah, is it as important, like with YouTube, it's very important to have that really stand out and catch attention, because sometimes people will pick what they watch or listen to on YouTube based on that image. Is that the same for podcasting now that the image plays a bigger role?
Well, that is actually a very good topic there, because that isn't utilized as much with any of my clients as it should be. So your podcast cover art is one image, right? And that is your overall image. And then each episode can have their own image. So you could do an image with my face on it and just put it right for my episode. And that will go pop out, and on somebody's podcast player, you'll be able to see that. You can add some alt text to that, which of course is great for SEO and great for accessibility too, right? And so, but a lot of people don't do that because it's the extra time involved, right? The extra time to create that, to upload that, to get that to the next step. So they just leave the cover art as their overreaching umbrella image, and then they don't separate them out by individual episodes. But yeah, a lot of people, they should, but they're not doing it as much as they should. Definitely.
Right. Well, the other thing that has intrigued me is the fact that YouTube is putting so much money into their podcasting platform. And I feel like the whole SEO thing with Shopify and iTunes and all of that, they almost for years have treated it like it was irrelevant. But I feel like now that YouTube is really pushing into that area, everyone's kind of scrambling, because people who have a YouTube channel are used to having graphics for their thumbnail that grabs attention. They're already used to writing SEO rich titles for each video topic. They're used to writing the description with SEO. So I feel like it's kind of shifting how people on podcasts are doing things, which I think is super exciting, because now you have like a much bigger chance of people finding you. And if you're already doing those things for YouTube, it's very easy to then do it for your podcast, or in our case, have your virtual assistant do it for you for your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, everybody should have their podcast up on YouTube. It's a free platform, as you know. So if you're paying for your hosting, that's one thing that's going to go out to all of the different podcast platforms. And then if you have, even if you just put a static image, and I know that if you're doing a video like this, definitely go with the video. People see you, people know you, people like you, they can relate to your face, and they get to see what you look like. But if you're one of those shy Sallys, you can definitely just put a static image on. Or maybe if you don't record, I have a client and she does a weekly Bible study all through phone, really. It's an old dial pad. And we just put a static image and then we pop her up onto YouTube every week, because that's the way it is. But it's a podcast on YouTube that we put up there, and then people can go and they can listen whenever they want. And again, it's just another alternative, another option to get reach, another search engine, right? It's a search engine. So yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. There's so many people when we talk to them who are nervous about being on camera. One of the things that we really focus on is helping people become comfortable on camera, and feel like learning how to set up the lighting and just making sure that they're doing all the things that need to be done. But there are quite a few people who I think would have a YouTube channel if they didn't have to be on camera. And we've actually been testing with some of our shorts where it's all done with B-roll video. So we're not on camera at all for those. They've been performing really well. And so it's, I definitely like us being on camera, because I do feel like it builds that know, like, and trust even further. But for someone who doesn't want to be on camera, you can totally build a YouTube channel through a podcast and not be on camera at all.
I think it's a great option. And again, it's just that one next level, so maybe you have your website with your blog, and then you have your podcast, and then you have your Instagram and your Facebook group, and then you have your YouTube. And don't forget about Pinterest as well. So those are now allowing small short videos in there as well. So it's just another option, another way. Oh, and then TikTok, right? I have dived into that a little bit, just a little.
It's addicting.
It's very
addicting.
You just
we're huge fans of repurposing. So a lot of times, whether it's a video, talking head video, or a tutorial video, or a podcast style video, it can definitely get repurposed to every single platform. And I feel like it's important. I guess back 15 years ago, Jeannie, when you first started really helping business owners with social media marketing, it was really about just pick the one platform where your audience is, kind of stay there. But now I feel like we're all in so many places. And because of technology and because of AI, it has gotten so much easier to repurpose things, but make them look like unique pieces of content based on layout and design. So yeah, it's just do one thing and do it really well, and then you have content for every platform.
Yeah, just keep moving it to the different platforms. The other one I didn't think of and I didn't mention is LinkedIn. You can pop those up there too. So wherever your niche is, wherever your market is, you could definitely get just repurpose that content over and over again and just pop out the different pieces and post them in different spots. So yeah, get yourself known, get out there.
Awesome. So we talked about audio and we talked about content. What was the other thing we were going to talk about?
We talked about why you should have a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Covered our 3 talking points. I'm so excited about us doing a podcast, but I'm looking at all of your setup and I'm so jealous. I'm like, Jeannie, we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot.
We need more toys. We need more toys.
So this is let me just do the breakdown for you then. So this is my headset that I use. I use the MPOW, and I did send Jeannie a link so she can pass that along to you if you want. I use these particular ones because they last 30 hours, and I do editing, right? So I'm a podcast producer. I do all of the editing, so I need a long term. Do you need something that's this long? No, but I do like them because they're nice and soft. I actually have 2 of the exact same pair. So.
And they're
so I have those.
They're wireless?
They are. Yeah, they're Bluetooth. Yep. They do come with a wire, but I don't ever use them with the wire because I would just get hung up and trip over myself. So I do love them, and I have both sets, both pair. And then this is my ATR 2100. I should probably name her for like some other time, but right now this is what I have, and that's the one that I like. It's an Audio Technica ATR 2100X, and then attached to her is my boom. And my boom arm is actually attached to my desk, and that makes it so that I can move my hands and not hit it, right? And when I purchased the boom arm set, it actually came with the wind guard, which is on top of her, and it came with, and it might make a noise, it did come with a pop filter. So I do sometimes use the pop filter, which there is a difference, but then you can't really see me, right?
That's true.
But I had to do some voiceovers for a client today, and I used the pop filter. I also used it in my course as a wand.
I love that. But we just learned so much. I've learned so much. I'm so excited.
I knew you'd love her, Kirsten. She's a wealth of information, and she loves podcasting, and she's so good at it.
And I've been taking notes.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, is there anything? Is there anything that we'll put your links in the bottom. Do you have a lead magnet or an opt-in for people?
I think what I have right now is just my podcast checklist, I think is what I might have given you. Excellent. And then the course that you took, the free Launch Your Podcast course, will be offered again in August. So if they want to sign up for that, they can sign up for the podcast checklist, and then they'll start to get notified of that event coming back up again. I think it's going to be right smack dab in the middle of August, the 14th. I have 2 young men going to college this fall, so I am trying to organize when I'm going to do that based on their college dates. They have to be there.
Yep. Wow, that's exciting. So, okay, we will put all the links that you gave us in the comments. So if you have any questions, you can always reach back out to Kim. And we would love to have you back again another day if you'd like to come and see us again.
I would love that. Thank you so much. I would absolutely come back.
Good. I mean, you've just been a wealth of information, and I know podcasting is evolving just like all the other platforms are evolving. So there will be other topics to discuss. So,
there's always other topics. We only just briefly touched on sponsorships and growing your audience and all the audiograms, everything. So yeah, there's so much.
So this is Jeannie with Six Figure Business Coaching, and that is my business partner, Kirsten Graham. And if you're interested in video marketing and hiring marketing virtual assistant to do all of the tasks associated, like editing and repurposing, then reach out to us. But if you are interested in podcasting, Kim is your go-to. And thank you again, Kim, for being here, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.